So this video is going to be about how to make interactive Google Slides for your classroom. And my first slide here is a Bitmoji Classroom. And so I have my little Bitmoji person, and I can show you in another video how to make one of those. You need the Chrome extension. Please remember that you cannot use a Bitmoji in a commercial product. But you will have this background, and I like to have a list of things for students to do and some simple notes. I might also use an agenda such as this, where I give the students the reading assignment, I maybe have a video for them to watch, and some reminders of what they need to do. The nice thing about Google Slides is that you can make all kinds of interactive activities. Like here I've made a graph where the students will graph the weather for the month in a particular area. They're going to put their location in this text box. So the weather for each month, the average temperature, and then they will also mark the average precipitation for that area. So you'll be able to compare the average temperature and the average precipitation for a particular area. But the background here is simply put in as a background and it doesn't move. And then these are simply shapes that I put colors in from the shape box. I can show you how I did that. So let's say I don't have December here. I can go up here to shape, and I can make myself a little rectangle, and I can go back up here to the bucket, and I can fill it with the color I want it to be. And now this part will be adjustable for the student. Now the way to have the rest of this not adjustable is simple. So here I have a slide where I've typed 2 questions and these are the choices, the multiple choice. And I'm going to actually take a screenshot of this because this is the background that I don't want to move. I'm going to take a screenshot. Then I'm going to select New Blank Slide. And on that new blank slide, I'm going to hit background. And I'm going to choose the image, which is going to be the image that I just took a picture of. And when it is added in here, you can see nothing moves. It's all in the background. So this is different than adding it as a picture, inserting an image. I'm adding it as a background. Now, I want them to be able to check these boxes. So I'm going to take my text box and I'm going to make a little text box right here. And if I want, I can make the outline of that a different color or thicker. And I can copy it and put it on the next one. So now when the students come to this slide, they can put an X in the correct box. I'm going to do the same thing down here. So another thing I can do is have students watch a video. And what I've put in here, let me take it out so you can see what I do. I'm going to put a giant text box in here. And again, I like to make this a different color and a little bit thicker so that they can see it, so it doesn't stay invisible. And I'm going to write in here, type here. This will let the students know when they're working on this on their own that this is where they're supposed to write their observations. You don't have to put that in there, but if your students aren't used to this format, it might be helpful to them. Some other things you can do with making interactive things is making drag and drop activities. Here, I could write something like sort into true and false statements, and I've got a true side and a false side. This was simply built with some shapes and then inserted into the background. Oops, go back to it. Inserted into the background like my other slide was. So now I'm going to move these. I can write on them. I can write, the sky is blue. And the students would sort that into either a true statement or a false statement. And here's some other examples where I can have them match to a certain thing, and I've made some templates so that you could just type your ideas in here, and these are movable. These are actually big text boxes that can be moved. In order to make them, let me show you how I made one. I made a text box about this size, and again I made it black and I made it 4 points, and I also went to the bucket and put white in the background. If I don't do that, then when I move it around, if it's clear in the background, you can see through it. So this is where I would have this, I would write in what I want the students to sort. You can do this with something like this. It's a Venn diagram. I've made these boxes editable so that people can write their own categories and then choose what's going to go in each of these, so they can be doing a Venn diagram on something. This one, I have them matching vocabulary to definitions. And again, all the background is in there still. The only thing that moves is the definition. And I can have them do problem and solution, same kind of thing. I can do a sequence where I put statements in here and they have to sequence them in the correct order. And I can even put in a background image of something like a lung and have these little labels in other locations, so the students would have to match them and put them in the right spot. Another thing I like to do with interactive slides is provide a Kwl chart or a KWLH chart. And what I've done here is I've put in text boxes, so the students would put their ideas in the text boxes. So there are all kinds of ways you can do things like this. If I wanted something here, I can add an image or a picture to this background image. I can add text boxes to my different parts of this brainstorm. Here's another example of sorting into categories. The categories are editable, and so are the words. And so the students would be able to drag and drop. Now, when I want to share these with a student, the way I would do it is I would want to make a forced copy so that each student has their own copy to work on, so that their answers are separate than someone else's. And the way to do that is you go up to share and click share, and you want to make sure to change it to anyone with the link. That means anybody that has this link can open this. Then I'm going to copy the link. I'm going to go to a new window. I'm going to put the link in there. And then I'm going to delete back to everything up till edit. And I'm going to put the word copy instead. What this new link gives me is something called a forced copy. And when we click on that forced copy, Google will say, would you like to make a copy of this slideshow? You say yes, and you teach your students to say yes, because what that does is it gives the students all their own copy to work in. So now they have a copy where they can drag and drop and answer the questions. They can type right here. They can move things around. If you decide you want them to turn in one of these completed ideas, what you can do is have them take a screenshot of what they've done and turn it in Google Classroom or through some other means where you're collecting information. So that's some basic ideas for how you can use Google Slides in an interactive way for a class that is not meeting with you live, for asynchronistic class time, to give students something to work on that's engaging, but they are working on it on their own.